Well, good evening to you one and all. I pray you're out of the rain and everything is going well with you and yours, and things will get better as the days go by. But I wanted to have a very open and frank conversation. And the reason I wanted to do this is because there's a couple of issues that need to be addressed. And I just wanted to have the conversation. I wanted to be able to talk to you for just a moment and share with you some insights that I have of whatever magnitude that seems to be, and just wanted to kind of see where you were on tonight, and what you thought on tonight, and how you feel on tonight, and just kind of wanted to have a conversation. I'll wait. Again, it wasn't announced, and I said I was going to begin the conversation at 8:30, and so I'm on a little early. I like doing that. I like being on a little early so that I can talk to you. Hey, Angela, how are you? Rita, good to see you. Jaleesa, Lisa, all right. Boy, now that was funny. Jaleesa, Lisa, and Cynthia, good to see you. Denise, good to see you. Debbie, good to see you. Got about 4 more minutes before I start this conversation. It should prove interesting. It just should prove interesting. That's all I'm going to say. I just need to. I have been. Hey, Cecile, how are you? I've been doing some reading, and for whatever reason, reading seems to be a lost art nowadays. Yeah. I'm going to talk about that, Jaleesa, Nancy. I'm going to talk about what's going on. I'm going to talk about what could probably be a reason behind it. There's a couple of theories that I have, and I'm going to share them. I'm going to share these theories, and I'll wait. I got 3 minutes before I get started, and I wanted to get this out on all of the pages and YouTube and all of that. Gina, how are you? Good to be seen and not viewed. What's up, Chucky? My partner. I know I'm your favorite person. Lavonda, good to see you. Okay, really, Cecile, really just keep all of that happiness to yourself, okay? But I do. I need to do this. I got 2 minutes, and then I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'm going to share what I need to share from my vantage point, from my experiences, from what I observed, and what I have read, and the statistical information that I have looked at. Now, many times people make presuppositions, and in the midst of those presuppositions, there's always someone to blame. There's always a person that is the scapegoat, there is always someone. And I want to talk about what took place, because what's happening is not just happening in Youngstown. And so I'm going to wait. I got another minute to go before I get into this. And you may not agree with it. You may agree with it. You may say, I don't know anything about what I'm talking about. You may say that I've just wasted your time. You may say that. You may say that I'm trying to protect someone or anything like that. You may say that. You may say that because everyone has the prerogative of their own opinion. But sometimes in some situations, statistical data and research speaks louder than anything else. And I'm going to speak to it strictly from a research point of view. And the time starts now. Let me share one thing before I get into this. If you have received your ballots, please don't let them stay on the table, in the drawer. Fill it out. Take it directly to the Board of Elections. Let's get this stuff done. This is overwhelmingly important for us to do. Now, here we go. Let's see, Cynthia, let's see how well this is digested. As many of you know, and Jaleesa was just talking about the fact that she just heard gunfire in Youngstown on the south side. As you well know, there has been quite a bit of, Sandra, how are you? There's been quite a bit of killings and homicides that have taken place in Youngstown. And that's a fact. That's a fact. But I want to go back. In this year and give you something to think about in the midst of many trying to come up with who's at fault. Whose fault is it that all of this mayhem is going on? Whose fault is it that our streets are riddled with crime? If you go back to the beginning of the pandemic in March, yes, I'm going back to the month of March. If you remember, and it was astounding that when the cities and the country shut down, crime dropped astronomically. I really want to take my time and work through this so you can understand where I'm coming from. I had conversations with different people, and I'm going, okay, there's something going on here, because all of a sudden the killings have dropped, the murders have dropped, the shootings have dropped, everything dropped to an all-time low. Now, here's the thing that can create a high level of short-sightedness. It wasn't just, hey Jay, how are you? It wasn't just Youngstown. It was every city in the United States. Crime rates plummeted. If you don't believe what I'm saying, what Jay is a highway patrolman. Now, if I'm lying, he can turn around and repudiate everything that I'm saying, because he's on here with me right now. Hey, Barbara, how are you? And so crime rates dropped. And everyone, Lavonda, was in shock, because it's like, you see, here's what happens, and I hope I'm not rambling too much. But Linda, here's the thing that really caught people off guard, was the fact that when you have become accustomed to violence, and the violence is no longer happening at the rate that you have become accustomed to, then bewilderment shows up, because you're trying to figure out what in the world happened. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened. What happened was, it's called isolation. And when everyone went into isolation, it distanced them from dealing with one another, whether that dealing was through drugs, whether that dealing was through partying and alcohol, excessive drinking, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it. Okay, thank you, Jay. Thank you. I knew I've did my research. And the one thing that I have learned to do in all of the organizing that the Lord has allowed me to do is you do research so you'll know what you're talking about. But what we were not prepared for, because we have not seen this before in this magnitude, is the psychological trauma that was inflicted by the power of isolation. If you are struggling mentally, if you are, Myrna, struggling socially, and now you are placed in an isolated situation where you can't go here and you can't go there, you can't go see your boys, you can't whatever, and basically all you did was play with electronics. You were on your phone, or you did more things on whatever those devices are that you play those games on. But isolation has a traumatic effect on you psychologically, especially if you come from a deprived environment. Okay, now maybe Jay, you can help me with this too, because see, people are thinking that I'm making this stuff up, but psychology is my major, so I understand human behavior. But I need to, if I'm wrong, I'm placing my reputation in Jay Simon's hands. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. And the problem was law enforcement and society, Myrna, was not prepared for the persons, once they're injected back into society, that now have a new psychological dysfunction, and they're not sure how to handle it. They don't see it. They don't know it. They don't recognize it, because it's amassed in the other dysfunctions that have now emerged out of isolation. And if you talk to anybody who's ever been in isolation, whether it's in prison or whatever the case may be, it damages you. And we're not going to go talk to no psychologists, no psychiatrists. We're not going to do that. The only way we know how to deal with it is to react to antagonistic environments or antagonistic encounters, where now all of a sudden I'm already a time bomb because of my environment, how I've been raised, the lack of opportunities, the lack of education. All of these things are there. And now after about 4 months, you bring me back into society. And when you bring me back into society, I'm not coping well, because I already have baggage that I've been carrying since I'm probably about 8, 9 years old. And now I got this new baggage of isolation. And now when you confront me, I explode. I explode quicker. I explode with a more ferocity than ever before. It is not just Youngstown. I live close to Akron. Akron is on fire. Cleveland is on fire. Lima, Dayton, Toledo, Columbus, Cincinnati, all of these cities are seeing between 35 to 65% increases in violence. Thank you, Jay Simon. Thank you. I don't want people to think that I'm making this stuff up, because see, here's what's going to be said, and I'm just going to say it. You know, the mayor belongs to Union, so I'm protecting the mayor. That's what's going to be said. I'm not protecting anybody. If anybody's wrong, everybody's wrong. But we were not prepared psychologically, and neither were they. Okay, let's let's go on and be honest about this thing for just a moment. When we came out of isolation, we were still paranoid. When we came out of isolation, when we decided, okay, they've lifted it now, we can kind of go around a little bit, we can go to the stores, we can do that, because people did runs on store. You remember we couldn't find no toilet paper? Remember we couldn't find this, couldn't find that? And let me give you a hint, it's coming back. And I'm not a prophet. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Man, you about ready to make me shout. It is not democratic terrorists as what's being said. It's the fact that when we came out with what little baggage we have, we're coming out paranoid. We're coming out, what do we do? How do we do? Because now, do I wear a mask? Don't wear a mask. You're hearing somebody tell you ain't got to wear a mask, and all of a sudden you start watching people catching it, and then you put the mask on, and then you become paranoid. And then you don't want to touch doorknobs. You don't want to touch people. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do the other. All of these things are now eating away at us psychologically. And so if we, who pretty much have a handle on our emotions and our reactions, are struggling, how does someone who has no clue how to do it? And so that's why, not just in Youngstown, not just in Warren, not just in Akron, not just in Cleveland, but every single city in the United States of America is experiencing between 25 to 65% increase in crime. Because people who are not able to process this moment only process it the best way they know how. Jay, thank you for helping me. Because he's a highway patrolman. He sees this stuff. And I don't want you getting on here talking about, oh, I see what he's doing. No, you don't see what I'm doing because you don't read what I read. And here's what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to be done. I'm really going to be done. I posted an article on Facebook. Read it for yourself. You ain't got to believe nothing I say. Read it for yourself. And here's the problem with where we are. Are you ready for this? Psychiatrists and psychologists are not sure how to deal with this because it's never been seen before. So can I tell you something? You can blame it on the mayor or mayors. You can blame it on city council or city councils. You can blame it on governors or governors. You can blame it on anybody you want to. We are in uncharted waters that has caused the piranha of mental illness to inflate to an unbelievable level. And until the psychological trauma is dealt with, the violence will continue. Let me add one more piece to it so I can thoroughly make you mad. And this is where 45 comes in as law and order. Because the solution to this is lock us all up instead of providing the mental help we need. So people are seeing psychiatrists and psychologists now, even if it's through Zoom or Google or whatever the case may be, because people who have never been in this condition, I've had moments when I've had to talk to a couple of people that I know in the field, because sometimes all of us feel like we're losing the grip on reality because this virus has taken us someplace we ain't never been before. And so rather than throwing rocks and hiding your hand, we need to address a bigger demon. We need to address the psychological dysfunction that is happening because of this virus. And let me add insult to injury. We going back into isolation again. And here's what's going to happen. When we go into isolation again, boom, crime rate's going to drop. Homicides are going to drop. The only thing that escalates in isolation is rape. Okay, I'm getting ready to ask Jay this again. If I'm lying, I want him to tell me I'm lying. Rape or assault. Because when people who are damaged mentally have to be together too much, and they get on each other's nerves to the point that violence takes place. Jay, I'm waiting on you, Jay. I'm waiting on you, man. You got to bail me out, man. Tell me if I'm telling the truth or not. Those are the crimes that increased while homicides and killings decreased. Jay, let me help you. I used to be ashamed to admit that. Because, you know, as black people, we ain't going to tell nobody that we needed to talk to somebody. Because then we're so fixated on being crazy in the minds of people that we become the very thing we're afraid other people may think of us. When all we got to do is take out a minute and talk to somebody to help us walk through this. So we don't always have to have medication. Sometimes it's just a trained ear to hear where we are that'll help us get where we need to go. That's all I'm going to say. And you got this nut that wants to lock everybody up. I think it's funny that when crack came through our communities, everybody had to come to jail, go to jail. But when powder cocaine came to other communities, all of a sudden it's time for rehab. That's all I'm going to say. Listen, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. You do not have to agree with me. You do not have to believe that what I said, because see, we live in the age of fake news now. That when truth comes out, we dispose of it as fake news. But let me help you. Let me help you. Read for yourself. Don't sit back here and listen to CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of the rest of them. Read the articles of the people who understand this the best they can and they're confused. Read what they have to say and you will see that this is a national mental crisis. So while we handing out stimulus checks, let's also get some vouchers so some people can go talk to some people. Ayana, I'm done. I got to go because I think I'm getting ready to run out of time. Do you hear my heart? Do you hear my soul? Do you hear what I'm saying? That's the reason why we're fasting and praying. Because these are someone's children. The victims are someone's mother and father, sister, brother, niece, or that's why Jesus said, some things will not come forth except through fasting and prayer. And you can kick everybody out of office until there's a heart change. The same thing will continue. Thank you, Jay. Crack is a crime. Heroin is a sickness. And the same psychological dysfunction has now perpetrated itself through the virus. And it hurts my heart to see people go after people rather than going after the problem. The problem is we are in a position and a place that we have never been in before. And it's going to take all of us to examine ourselves, to have a conversation with ourselves, and to have a conversation with somebody else in order for us, Pastor Cherry, to get this thing turned around. Hey, Tori, how are you? And you can set folk on fire and say it's all their fault. Read the articles. It's not just Youngstown. But also read in the articles what the probability and the possibilities are if we deal with the issue of mental illness that has been exacerbated because of this dilemma. And again, this pandemic is going to put us back in isolation again. The numbers are going to drop. And when we come out of it, the same thing's going to happen again. That's all I want to say. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Keep each other lifted in prayer. Keep families lifted in prayer. It's not their fault that they were born in the situations that they were in. But it's our fault if we don't pray them through it. Jay Simon, thank you, man. Thank you. Because people won't necessarily believe me because I'm a preacher. But I'm a preacher that reads. I'm a preacher that studies. I'm a preacher that observes. I'm a pastor who loves people. And the only thing I want to see is us, Shahila, come through more than a conqueror. B, I'm so glad you got on here. You know, excuse me, you know what I'm talking about. Let me tell you what B said. Individuals with mental health issues are misunderstood and overlooked. I'm done. But we can't keep blaming people for the psychological trauma and trouble and tribulation that they are in because they didn't ask for it. And for those of us that still have a little bit of sense, we've struggled. I'm going to say it again. We've struggled. And if we've struggled, can you imagine what life is like for someone who is not prepared, nor do they understand? I needed to share that. Sister Lynn Phillips, I'm so glad that you're on. I needed to share that. I needed us to understand that. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not trying to protect nobody. I'm trying to get the truth, because only truth will set us free. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you too, my friend. Thank you for every one of you that took out this time to share with me. Now, again, I know I'm going to get crucified for this, and again, I understand that clearly, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I'm all right with that. I got thick skin. Because I want my people free. For whom the Son has set free is free indeed. Go vote. If you haven't voted in Ohio, go vote. Don't wait till the last minute. Let's get this handled. Love you, each and every one of you. I appreciate you from the depths of my soul. You have a good night. Pray for us tomorrow. We might have to be out in the rain as we give away these food boxes. Pray that God's mercy rest upon us, that we can go ahead and do what we need to do. We're going to begin at 9 a.m. and we're just looking to be a blessing to the community. Love you one and all. May God bless you. Excuse me. May He keep you is our prayer.